Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're having a wonderful day so far. So according to recent reports, the Social Security Trust Fund looks like it will be going insolvent anywhere between 2032 to 2033. Now, at that point, if nothing is done, you'll still receive Social Security benefits on a monthly basis as usual. However, whatever you're receiving in that year, there will be a cut of around 20 to 25% of whatever you're receiving. So if you're receiving, let's say like $1,000 per month, that will be cut down to $750 to $800 per month. That would be anywhere between 20 to 25%. So obviously something needs to get done. Now, Republicans and Democrats are going to need to work together on this. It's going to have to be something bipartisan because in the Senate, they will need at least 60 votes in order for anything to get passed. And right now, there are 51 Democrats and 49 Republicans. So there will need to be support from both parties. Now, before I dive into some of the changes that we might be seeing take place over the next few years, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm. And also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Okay, so we actually had this very helpful calculator up here from the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. This was actually, I think, created last year because right now they are saying that the trust fund will be running out in 2035, which at that point all beneficiaries will face a sudden 20% benefit cut. This year that actually got moved up to 2032 to 2033, depending on the source. So now it's even quicker than that. But this calculator basically is going to allow us to run through some of the changes that are being talked about, being proposed in certain bills, and how that's going to impact the future of the Social Security Trust Fund. So we're going to start out here. The first change that might take place is to subject more wages to the payroll tax. So right now, all workers, they pay something called the payroll tax. It's going to be 6.2% for the employee, and the employer matches that at 6.2%. So in total, that is 12.4%. This is only on the first $160,200 in wages. So if you make like $10 billion per year, you're only paying that payroll tax on the first $160,200 that you earn. Now, some lawmakers are saying that's unfair because very high earners are not having to pay that payroll tax. So they say that some people should have to pay, that payroll tax on all their earners. But there's something being talked about right now where you would have to, once again, have to pay payroll tax on any earnings after, let's say, anywhere between $250,000 to $400,000. Bernie Sanders, in one of his recent bills, would make it so people would have to pay the payroll tax on any income earned above $250,000 per year. However, whenever Joe Biden became president, he made a promise that he would not raise any taxes on anyone earning under $400,000 per year. So $400,000 per year is something that we're probably going to be looking at here. So we're on this calculator here, we're going to go ahead and tax all wages above $400,000. And you can see that would help with the solvency by 45% of the gap closed. And this now changes to making the trust fund run out at 2044. And then there would only be 11% cut in benefits rather than 20% cut. So we're on the right path here. Now, obviously, more Democrats would support this notion. Republicans are completely against raising taxes, even on the wealthy. So it might be difficult to get Republicans on board with such a thing, but we'll just have to wait and see. Now, the second change that might end up taking place either this year or perhaps in years to come is raising of the full retirement age. So right now that is 67 for most people right now. In order to keep the trust fund solvent, a lot of Republicans are saying that we should be raising the full retirement age, and this would make it so people would have to wait longer to receive their benefits. So it's being talked about right now around the age of 70 they would raise it to. There was a plan by Bill Cassidy and Angus King, just a proposal. It looks like that's probably already dead, but they were going to raise the full retirement age up to 70, at least according to the rumors. Now on this calculator here, we can actually only change that up to 68, or we can change it to 69. They don't have an option for 70 here. So we're going to change this to 69, and we can see if we do that, the trust fund will run out in 2059. So we're doing a little bit better. And then in 2059, there would only be a 5% cut in benefits. This is down from 11% or 20% from its current calculation. So the third change that could happen to Social Security, and let me step back for a moment here. As far as raising the full retirement age, this is something that really only has Republican support. Democrats are completely against it because remember, if you're raising the full retirement age, that's technically a cut for Social Security benefits, something that Democrats are completely against. But at the end of the day, the two parties are going to have to make a compromise. So maybe Republicans are going to be for raising taxes a little bit, and Democrats are going to give in to, I guess, raising of the full retirement age. Now, the third change that they are talking about making is changing the way that the cost of living adjustments, the COLAs, are calculated over to the CPIE method. Now, right now they use the CPIW method, but they're saying that this is unfair for the elderly because the CPIE method would, factor in costs that are, that a lot of people that are the elderly that they have to pay a lot more for, such as healthcare costs. So the CPIE has actually risen by a little bit more every single year on average than the CPIW. Sure, in some years the CPIW has risen more than the CPIE, but this is something that a lot of Democrats are saying that we should be changing the way the COLAs are calculated over to the CPIE method. So you can see here, if we change this over to the CPIE method on this calculator here, index COLAs to CPIE, that's going to be a 13% reduction in as far as the trust fund solvency. So now the trust fund is going to be running out in 2046, at which point all beneficiaries will face a sudden 8% benefit cut. So this would be good for beneficiaries, but as far as the trust fund goes, it would make it run out a whole lot quicker. Now, again, this is something that most Democrats support, but maybe to make a compromise, we might see some Republicans get on board with this change. Now, the fourth change that might take place is raising the minimum benefit, the special minimum benefit, to 125% of the federal poverty line. Now, again, this is something that we're probably more than likely going to see Democrats get on board with rather than Republicans. And right now in 2023, the full minimum primary insurance amount, which you can qualify for with at least 30 years of work, according to nerdwallet.com, is $1,033.50 per month. They would raise this up to 125% of the federal poverty line. This would obviously make it a lot easier and better for people receiving the special minimum benefit to receive a lot more. Obviously would still be very difficult to get by, but a whole lot better than just $1,033.50 per month. They would then be receiving, I believe, a little bit over $18,000 to $19,000 per year, which still isn't a lot of money, but will obviously make it a whole lot easier than what they're receiving at this time. Now, if they are going to raise benefits for them to 125% of the federal poverty line, we're going to go ahead and put that in. That would actually only be a 4% reduction. So the trust fund is still going to be running out in 2045, at which point all beneficiaries will face a sudden 9% benefit cut. Again, this is going to be something that mostly Democrats will back, but we might see some Republicans compromise with that, especially if it's only going to, make the gap closure of just 4% more, where we're in a situation where it makes the trust fund in a worse situation, but by only 4%, not a significant amount here. Now, another change that could take place, the fifth change, is to increase benefits for older beneficiaries by 5% starting out at age 82. So basically, whenever you reach the age of 82, there would be a slow bump up of, let's say, like 1% per year. So when you're 82, benefits would increase by 1%. When you're 83, it would increase by another 1%, all the way until you reach the full 5%. Now, this is something I could see both parties getting behind, because as you do get older, your cost of living does go up, especially with healthcare and other things like that. So this is something I could actually see getting some type of bipartisan compromise and most likely passing. You guys will have to let me know in the comment section below if you would be behind such a thing as well. Now, if there is going to be a bump up, that's going to be another 6% gone from the trust fund. And you can see here that with that, the trust fund will now run out in 2043, at which point all beneficiaries will face a sudden 10% benefit cut. So we're at 2043. It's getting a little bit worse here, But the next one that we might see, the next change that we might see take place is an increase in the payroll tax by anywhere between 1% to 2%. So like I mentioned earlier on in this video, right now on the first $160,200 that you earn, if you're an employee, you pay 6.2%. The employer matches that at 6.2%. And if you're self-employed, you pay the full amount. So you pay the entire 12.4%. Now, there are some talks by Democrats of raising this number, perhaps by anywhere between 1% to 2%. So in total, it would be 13.4 to 14.4%. So let's go ahead and put that into the calculator here. So if we bump that up by just 1% alone, the trust fund will now run out in 2076, at which point all beneficiaries will face a sudden 8% benefit cut. If we raise it up to 2%, where you'd be paying 7.2% in as an employee, and the employer would match the other 7.2%, we would now make the Social Security sustainable and solvent for the next 75 years and beyond. So we're doing really good if we raise that up to 2%. However, this is something that's probably only going to get Democratic support. Republicans are completely against raising taxes. However, we might see something like this take place if Republicans feel like they need to compromise to get some of the things that they want to get done. Now, the seventh thing on today's list that we're going to be using for this calculator is that they might be diversifying the trust fund to increase the returns in the trust fund. So right now, the entirety of the money that's in the Social Security Trust Fund is invested into U.S. Treasury securities. And so according to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, by the end of 2021, the trust fund had accumulated $2.9 trillion worth of Treasury securities, earning an average interest rate of just 1.4% during that year, which is really, really bad. Now, in a recent proposal by a bipartisan group, which that's most likely dead at this point, they had talked about perhaps investing some of this money into stocks, having an additional $1.5 trillion, throwing that into stocks, trying to earn a return of right around 8% per year, rather than just earning 1.4% from Treasury securities. They think that they can actually get a lot more for this money. This would be a little bit of a risk, though. So let's say that they go ahead and try to diversify the trust fund to increase returns. That's going to be 6% of the gap close. So once again, we are still solvent. That really didn't change anything, but a 6% improvement, at least according to the estimate. It actually could go down if you lose money. That's why a lot of Democrats are going to be against this, because they don't want to have any type of risk. They would rather just have this in a very conservative way of investing it in Treasury securities, where you're not really going to be losing money other than with inflation. So that's another thing that they could be doing, perhaps. Now, there are some other changes that could take place that are not listed on this calculator, so unfortunately, we cannot put this into the benefits calculator. One of these changes that might be taking place is to increase benefits by a certain amount. Now, in a recent bill by Bernie Sanders, he wants to increase benefits by $200 per month. Of course, there could be a lesser amount that they could eventually agree on. Let's not say it could just be a flat amount of $200 per month. They could make some sort of compromise, maybe at $100 per month. That way you're giving all beneficiaries an increase, but not by $200 per month. So that's something that could certainly happen as well. And another change that's also not listed within this calculator is to force investment income, such as capital gains or dividends that you receive, to pay the payroll tax on. So like I mentioned before, if you're a worker, if you're an employee, on all earned income through working, you do pay the 6.2% payroll tax. However, on capital gains, like if you're investing in Apple and you buy a share of Apple at $100 and then you sell your share for $120 and you're making $20 there, you're not going to be forced to pay the 6.2% payroll tax on the $20 that you earn. A lot of Democrats are saying that you should have to pay payroll taxes on stuff like that, whether it's capital gains or dividends. Republicans are going to be mostly against this, but again, maybe they'll make some sort of compromise. We'll just have to wait and see. So those are the 9 changes that we may see take place over the next few years. It could be this year, it could be the next. It just depends how long they want to continue kicking the can down the road. Because again, according to recent estimates, the trust fund is going to be insolvent anywhere between 2032 to 2033. So they will certainly need to get something done very soon. But let me know in the comment section below which of these changes you would like to see take place very soon and why you would like to see them take place. But that's all the content that we have for today's video. I certainly hope that you enjoyed. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video.